Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Devin Haney, the undisputed lightweight champion. Man put on a magnificent performance, didn't he? But for some reason, people don't want to give him his credit. Devin Haney was getting booed before the fight, booed coming into the fight, booed during the fight, booed after the fight, returned to the States, and he's still getting booed. Not even by Australians. Getting booed by Americans. I mean, I get it. People like different styles of boxing. But when are we going to start supporting young people? This man, 23 years old, went over there to that country and talk about everything being stacked against him. I even did a video on that. I thought once they signed the fight, I said Devin Haney has already lost and he hasn't stepped into the ring. But if you look and see just how things played out, it went from him having all the disadvantages and almost no chance on winning that fight. It's just over time, stars started lining up. And it's like, hold on a second. He has a good chance of winning the fight. From the crazy contract he had to sign, from the issues with his dad, having to deal with the time change, to getting over there now, the voodoo crap of someone who pointed a bone at him and scared the hell out of everybody, to him getting over there, getting comfortable, remaining professional, dad getting ready to come over there, all that worked out. And it's a good thing he had Lou DiBella, he had Bob Arum, he had his own lawyer. He just had a whole community that came forward to help him. You see, Bob Arum is a Harvard Law School grad, and so is Lou DiBella. A lot of people don't realize that. And those guys have connections. Plus, Devin has his own lawyer, but those guys in concert worked to just exhaust all their options to try to get his dad in that country, and it worked out. Dad came in the country. He started getting the best of Kambosos during the press conferences, all the attention on the judging, which started to give me a sense of comfort that they're not going to screw him. He just, all the stars were lining up for Devin Haney to have an amazing story that we could talk about years down the road for him to win that undisputed distinction, which he did. Now, a lot of people are complaining that he's a boring fighter. All he did was hold. Listen, okay? He found a way to win. That's what you do in boxing. Kambosos found a way to lose. Devin Haney did what he was supposed to. Jab, stick, move. Lateral movement. It's not called running, man. That's what you're supposed to do. When you have legs and you have intelligent footwork, that's what you're supposed to do. What about those? And so we could talk about the fact that we didn't like him running. Okay, you didn't like all the footwork. You could talk about the fact that he would jab or 1-2 or throw a lead hook, fall in, tie up his opponent. Oh, we don't like hugging. Okay, I get it. We talk about the things you don't like, but don't act like there's a whole lot of positive things that he didn't do. Talk about that. When are we going to talk about that? His ability to win a fight with just that Ike Corte-like jab. Just sticking a jab, going low, up, and he was throwing more of an up jab. Killing Kambosos with it. Kambosos couldn't figure it out. That's how you control somebody. That's called an intelligent jab. He used that jab to control the fight. And then when he didn't do that, he threw that right hand, or he would throw a 1-2, or he would throw a hook. And then when he would drop, close the distance and get in close, he would drop down so low to where Kambosos couldn't get his shots off. That's called intelligent boxing. But I'm going to tell you something. Not everybody can do that. It is extremely difficult to bend your knees, to bend at the waist. You have to have a strong core, and your hips can't be tight. That comes from years of just training your body to do something. See, people who sit back and watch it and want to see the bending over, the tying up, and see that as something negative. With those of us here who have done, I don't care what you did, any kind of training in any sport, it doesn't have to be fighting. You know the importance of stretching and what that does for you, strengthening your core and your hips. It's knowing the world Devin Haney could have been able to bend so low, get out of the way of those shots, if he wasn't training his body since a young kid to respond that way. Your hips, your core, your legs, everything has to be conditioned. And you don't get that over 2 months of training. That's what he was able to do in that fight. It's from years and years of training his body to respond. And his body did its job. So hopefully people will see that a little bit different now. And that's one of the things that frustrates me when they're talking about these fighters, in particular Devin Haney. Yeah, I would like to see a brouhaha every now and then. Let's get a mashup, crash up in the ring. Two guys just come in there and just slug it out. That's exciting. I get it. And it can be more entertaining. See someone get caught, dropped, knocked out. You jump up out your seat, shouting, cussing at the TV, or you're seeing it live and you're all excited, spill your popcorn and shit. Okay, I get it. But at the same time, appreciate the boxing. The fact that this man was able to get in there and pretty much not get hit. And look at what he was able to do to Kambosos. Now, I will say this going forward in the rematch, right? Because Devin Haney is going to do a rematch. Now, he's talked about giving up those titles and going to 140. Can't blame him. Who wants to pay all those damn sanction fees? They're gonna rape him. And the challenger, Kambosos, has to pay certain fees just to compete for the belts. So both of them are getting hit over the head. So it sucks. But what can Devin Haney do better? He did everything flawless. It was like a Bivol and Canelo. Can't get any better except knock him out. Devin Haney, Kambosos. Really can't get any better except knock him out. So there's not much room for improvement, in my opinion. What can Kambosos do better? He can do a whole lot better. Like one, letting the shots go. Two, training on throwing that uppercut. Stepping out to an angle and bang. He didn't throw the uppercut. Devin Haney was a sucker for that uppercut. He just, lucky Kambosos didn't throw it. But then again, Devin Haney's so damn fast, when he would jab or throw a lead hook, or throw the right hand, pop shot, and he would immediately fall in behind it, and he would always fall into his left. Throw the right hand and fall into his left, sometimes to his right. But he was making sure to go to Kambosos' weak side most of the time, which made it hard for Kambosos to get those shots off. He was avoiding his strong hand, which is very intelligent. But at the same time, it was a pattern there. But Kambosos couldn't figure it out. But if he could have figured out, start timing it better, I would have been working on throwing that uppercut. He should have let his hands go more. And I would have been really looking to throw that uppercut because Devin Haney, that's the shot that could have got Devin Haney in a lot of trouble. But then again, it's easier said than done because Devin Haney is experienced and he's talented and the man is super, super quick. Hard to do that. Hard to get those kind of shots off against someone with Devin Haney's IQ. But going forward, I think Kambosos has a lot that he can improve on, but I still have Devin Haney winning that fight quite comfortably. So now we look at, what's next for him? A lot of his, peers are hating on him, calling him a runner, saying that he's a boring fighter. Doesn't matter because you're out here taking losses and this man is out here winning. I still think the lightweight division's cursed, so I don't think Devin's going to hold on to those belts for long. Me personally, I think he should have the rematch with Kambosos and drop the belts unless he's not allowed to for some reason. Who wants to keep paying them damn sanctioning fees? Drop them belts and go on to 140. Devin Haney didn't look healthy at the weigh-in. To get down to 135 pounds, he looked like a skeleton. You see what happened with some of these guys. Another 2 pounds, he may have had some of his internal organs start to fail. I don't know. But that's not normal to lose that much weight. Especially with someone with a frame like Devin Haney, who should really be walking around about 165, 170 maybe. But, for a moment in time, they get their weight down, make it, and then they start to rehydrate. And their body and face looks totally different. I mean, if I could have done a side-by-side of how his face looked at the weigh-in and how his face looked on fight night, it's night and day. Night and day, man. So for Devin Haney after Kambosos, if he's going to fight Lomachenko, I don't know, but he's talking about going to 140. So if he goes to 140, right? Even down at 135, let's see. He already beat Jojo Diaz. Comey is really not in the picture. Fortuna won't stand a chance against him. We got Zepeda. Ryan Garcia is a good fight. Tank Davis, Lomachenko, and Lopez. those are all right fights for Devin Haney. But does Devin Haney really beat what's his name? Because he's going to 142, Teofimo. It's a good fight, very good fight. But I would think Teofimo would take more chances. But then again, Devin Haney, that for those of you who don't know who Ike Corte is, that man with that bazooka jab won fights off of his jab, and Devin Haney won that fight off of his jab. And he does that in almost every fight. He controls his opponents with his IQ, and that jab has a lot to do with it. So I think Lopez would take chances. He has the power to hurt Haney, but Devin Haney would have to box the whole fight, and I give Haney a good chance to win. Lomachenko's very interesting fight. Lomachenko makes a lot of guys look average, but then again, Devin Haney doesn't. I don't know if he has the power to discourage Lomachenko, but it's a very interesting matchup stylistically. Against Tank Davis, it's kind of hard to go against Tank. Tank knocking everybody out. Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney would be a good match. That to me is probably the most intriguing fight on here. Is Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. They're 3-3 in the amateurs, so that tells you that. For what I'm saying, that stylistically is a good match. That tells you that their styles are just made for each other. You're going to get a really good tactical boxing match where I would think Devin Haney would win that fight because Ryan Garcia is making a huge mistake where all of a sudden want to try to fight like Canelo, hands up, walk you down. That's not going to work. Ryan Garcia against Fortuna, don't be surprised if Ryan Garcia gets clipped. He should win that fight, but if he's going to try to walk him down with Fortuna, who fights very dirty, has a big left hand. If he still has a little bit in the tank, Fortuna can catch Ryan with that left hand and hurt him because Ryan's chin is in the air. That's a recipe for disaster. So we'll see what's going to go on with Devin Haney. I just think we should give the man some credit. This young man, 23 years old. Why are we hating on him? I don't understand why in the world that he gets treated like that. He deserves for us to build him into a champion. But going forward with Devin Haney, I'm not sure what Devin Haney's plan is really, because at lightweight it's 135 pounds. At super lightweight, that's 140 pounds, right? So when you talk about Devin Haney possibly going up to 140 pounds, now you start talking about guys like Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis. Okay, just you hear those names right there, you think about Devin Haney. Can Devin Haney even hang with those guys? Just those two names alone. Do you really think Devin Haney can get in there and bang with Josh Taylor? Bang with Regis Prograis? I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna go ahead and say no. I don't think he can. But then again, he may hang out there at 135 and then decide, Shakur Stevenson may decide to bubble up and bang with him. Who knows? I'm just saying, I honestly think we need to look at what Devin Haney is trying to do as at 140 and see who could he really beat at 140 pounds. And he wouldn't be able to go against some of the elite guys, man. I don't think so. I think he'd have to be very careful with getting in there against some of these killers at 140. And one person, I don't care what anyone says, there's one person that nobody wants to fight. They just don't want to fight him. That's Regis Prograis. Nobody wants to fight him. And it's very frustrating for me because nobody wants to fight him. Regis Prograis, when is he going to get another shot, man? And you got Ramirez, Zepeda, Catterall, you got Matias. You got some, then Antoine Russell. That's another problem at 140, but not sure if he'll get his shot, man. But I think Regis Prograis is one of those guys, nobody wants to fight him. They don't want to fight him. There's a reason why they don't want to fight him. Pedraza would be a good fight for Haney. He goes up to 140, I think that would be a good measuring stick. If Haney can get in there and handle Pedraza, I think that would be a good fight. Not sure that he would do it, though. I think he's got to figure out what he's doing with Kambosos and then Lomachenko, because they kind of screwing him down there at ESPN. But once he gets through all that chaos, you got Brandon Lee, you got Montana Love. These are good fights for him. Robert Easter Jr. dropped out, but Robert Easter has been inactive. That would be an excellent fight for Devin Haney at 140. Because Robert Easter Jr. is a great fighter. I mean, he's 23-1. So, it's a good opportunity for Devin Haney. So, a couple good names. I think Pedraza or Robert Easter Jr. at 140 would be good fights for Devin Haney. Instead of just going in there with some of these guys who, are just killers. And I think Antoine Russell Jr., that's the fight. That's the guy. He just needs an opportunity. Regis Program, we already know he can get busy, but no one wants to fight him. But I think that's a fight that needs to happen, man. I think it's Pedraza or Robert Easter Jr. would be good for Devin Haney, but that's not my call. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, man. People need to stop hating on this man, calling him a runner. Look, Floyd Mayweather, he's a boxer. Oscar De La Hoya, these are boxer punchers. Devin Haney is more of a pure boxer. He has enough sting on those punches to make you think twice. But he's not necessarily a one-hitter quitter. And there was one fight where he knocked somebody out, but he had already hurt the man. Then the guy got hit with a shot he didn't see. So it was knockout of the year, but that was just kind of the exception. He's not Julian Jackson. You know what I'm saying? 90-something KO percentage. So let's stop with trying to call him a knockout artist. Devin Haney's no knockout artist. He'll never be a knockout artist. He can overwhelm you with an accumulation of punches and get TKOs, but one shot and get you out of there, that's not Devin Haney. So he's gonna run into some problems when he gets in there with these guys who have the engine like him, have the speed like him, but have more power, and he can't hurt them or keep them off of him. You see, when he gets in there with someone like a Maidana kind of style where he's coming at you, and he's going to catch you off guard from round one to the last round. Because you look at what he did with Mayweather. And I don't think that would have mattered if it was a young Mayweather. And they say, well, what if Mayweather was young? That would have never happened. Okay, Castillo Mayweather, that first fight and the second fight. But you look at, when you get an opponent like that, especially like Castillo used to be Chavez's sparring partner for years. So you find somebody who's been sparring a killer, like Cambosa, who was sparring Pacquiao, he just didn't let his hands go. But you find somebody who's conditioned to just go all out and let their hands go no matter what. Cambosa, for some reason, didn't do that. But to have opponents out there he's going to come across, and that's where I think you'll see Devin Haney have some problems. But right now, I think as long as he remains strategic with who he's fighting after he gets through this contract crap with the rematch and then Lomachenko, possible rematch there, I don't know. If he can get through all that and the smoke clears, if Devin Haney is very strategic with who he's fighting, he can go a very, very long way. But if he's out here trying to prove that he wants to fight the best and get in there with punchers with stamina and who let their hands go, Devin Haney would run into problems then. But if he boxes intelligently using that jab, Devin Haney can be around for a long time. I give him a shot against anybody. He's that talented of a fighter. Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis. Josh Taylor was another one too. He just got in there with somebody who fought back. But Josh Taylor was another one I used to watch him fight. Like, man, this guy's special. But we'll see what's gonna happen with Devin Haney going forward. But I just think people need to stop hating on the man. He went over there and found a way to win. And that's what you're supposed to do. He's back here stateside. People still booing him. I expect Rolly Romero to say negative stuff. Teofimo is extremely miserable. Ryan Garcia to say little stuff. But everyone else calling that running, man, that is not running. That's intelligent footwork. That's ring generalship. That's all the guys who are complaining about it, the guys who can't do it. And if he ran, okay, let's say he was running. Well, then we got to commend his stamina, right? Because to run a full 12 rounds with somebody coming at you trying to knock you out and you moving the whole time, so we should compliment him. So really, that's like a backhanded compliment. Oh, he just ran the whole fight. Okay, well, good. Thank you for saying that I was in superb condition, better condition than my opponent. Because that's a compliment, in my opinion. But anyway, I'll leave it as that, man. Shout out to the veterans. You guys keep safe. Thanks for my support. Devin Haney, the undisputed lightweight champion. Amazing performance. I don't see any difference. I think the fight will be it'll be more competitive. Still think he gets the win because there's not much Devin Haney can do different But Kambosos has a lot of room for improvement, and I think we're going to see that. I still don't think he's going to be enough to get the win. That jab and boxing IQ Haney has is a whole nother level. And then after that, we'll see what he decides to do. You guys keep safe. Appreciate your support as always, and I'm in the breeze.